Hey guys, how's it going? Just me again. I want to start just like I did last time. I've got my Bible in hand here. I read the NIV, which is what New International Version or something, if you're curious. And this, I have been going through, I did this last year for Christmas, so I'm doing it again. The book of Luke in the Bible in the New Testament, because there's 25 chapters, I think, in the book of Luke. I'm pretty sure I remember that's why I did it. Either way, we're reading it. And so it's like 25 days till Christmas. So I've been going through and I'm in chapter 6. So I thought I would read to you some of these things. So I'm in chapter 6, verse 20 to, where does it go? 26. And this is Jesus. So Jesus, looking at his disciples, he said, "Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who hunger now, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, when they exclude you and insult you and reject your name as evil because of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, because great is your reward in heaven, for that is how their fathers treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have already received your comfort. Woe to you who are well fed now, for you will go hungry. Woe to you who laugh now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for that is how their fathers treated the false prophets." So I really love this. I've actually recently heard someone talking about this. I've heard talk a lot about the poor in spirit, which is um, another way of blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. So poor in spirit, same thing. So it basically is just like talking about, and we are poor in spirit. We need God. We need him with an absolute need. And so Jesus is just saying that we are blessed because we know that we are poor in spirit and we need to rely on him. And those who hunger for like the word of God, those who hunger for truth, and all this, like it's more of a spiritual hunger than like um than just like actually being hungry. And we here in this world we weep now, but one day we're just gonna laugh. God will wipe away all our tears. And obviously he's talking about how blessed are you if you are insulted or hated for serving the Son of God, for being one of Jesus's followers, right? Because ours is the kingdom of heaven. So it's something really positive. And I really love the woes as well, because it's like totally, we serve an upside down kingdom, as they say, although really the world is the one that's upside down, where it's like when we are leaning on, we live in a world that's very keen on independence, but we have to be leaning on God, right? More than anything. So people who are rich, who think that they have all that they need, they are going to suffer later, right? Because they think that they have all that they need here on earth. And if you think you're well fed now, you're going to be hungry later. So I think it's, I don't know, I just love this part. And what I say, I'm poor in spirit, I mean it. It's very true. So anyway, I hope that encourages you. If you're feeling poor in spirit, if you're feeling hungry and not sure what to do, first of all, I've been where you are. I am where you are. I always need the Lord, and he's the one that you're looking for. So I just want to encourage you in that, and encourage you that Jesus loves you so much. Jesus said all of those things to warn people of their hearts and where their hearts might be at and what their hearts might be distracted with. And we all get distracted. It's not, but it's important for us to remember that this world might have nice things, but first of all, things, the good things in this world, they come from God, and we need to remember that. And that he's what we really need. So just a little, I'm talking to myself, but I'm sharing with you if that's something that maybe is on your heart too. So I get it. So today I don't actually have the books with me because I'm not at home at the moment, but I finished two books. And I finished this one a while ago when I did my last video, but I forgot to talk about it. And then I just finished another one recently. They're both like YA middle grade-esque. And so let's talk about them. Both of them were extremely meh, or like absolutely confusing to me. So that's kind of why I want to talk about them. I I think the reason why I didn't talk about the first one is because I really actually forgot about it because it was very meh to me. So the first book I'm going to talk about is The Scourge by Jennifer A. Nielsen. Now, I personally like Jennifer A. Nielsen a lot. I love the False Prince series. I like a lot of her historical fiction. I did read her YA, The Traitor's Game, I think was the first one in that, which was good. I thought it was decent. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't finished the third book. So I really like her writing. I think The False Prince is her best. I'm gonna be honest, but um, but that's fine. You know, that book series is great. But The Scourge is a standalone. It's just on its own. And it was good. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but however, it was so predictable. And now you might be looking at me being like, "Didn't you say The False Prince was predictable?" Yes, yes, yes. I knew where The False Prince was going. However, the character of Sage, Jaren, whatever, was so charming that I I could completely overlook the obviousness of some of the things. And I also have to remember these are like middle grade YA, and they are more obvious, okay? The tells are more obvious for those books usually. So whatever. But also it reminded me a lot. The False Prince reminded me a lot of The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner, which I've also talked about. And so I saw, and that one did get me. Okay, I did read that one when I was a teenager though, so whatever. But it has the same twist, or a very similar twist, I should say. And so I was like, I could see it kind of a mile away. But the ride was good, you know what I mean? And then the other consequential books like The Runaway King and the Shadow Throne, Captive Kingdom, and Shattered Castle were all, although somewhat formulaic in that they felt like they were kind of, Sage does the same things in each one, right? Like essentially, Mr. I'm going to save the day in the most chaotic way possible. But they were all still unique and fun enough. And they all had pretty much one big, like, twist that was enjoyable enough for me to be like, I'm in. You know what I'm saying? So, no shade to Jennifer Nielsen. I really enjoy her work. I genuinely do. However, The Scourge to me, it was like, it was. I don't know. It just wasn't. I don't think it was for me. I think I ended up rating it a 3 star because there were things I did like about it, but it was just like every single time a plot point came up or like a mystery came up, I was like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. I know exactly what's gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Oh, this person did this. Oh, this person did that. Oh, this is gonna happen. You know, like I could tell every single, and I don't know if that's just because I've read a lot of books, read a lot of books by her, that I could just be like, oh, I know. As soon as the mystery came up, the plot point, I'd be like, ah, I know exactly where this is going. I was right every time. Now it's also a middle grade book, so I'm not, no shade, it's fine, like I said, but like to me, it was just not as engaging as her other books were. And I did like the characters. Annie Mells was the main character, and then she had a friend named her friend Weevil. I really liked Weevil. It's a funny name, but it was just, I mean, it was fine, but it was very formulaic. However, let me give you a premise of the story. So essentially, the scourge is a disease that happened like 300 years ago or something. And now it's suddenly come back, and the governor is trying to stop it from happening by taking everybody who has the scourge and shipping them onto an island where they're essentially just going to go to die because there's no cure. Okay. Now, oddly enough, it's Annie Mills and Weevil get caught up in this, even though neither of them have the scourge, but somehow mysteriously they end up having symptoms after being in the presence of some of these people for a short amount of time. Now, it's very obvious, and I mean, I think you can even glean this from the back of the book, so I don't think it's a spoiler. Essentially, the governor is trying using the scourge to get rid of people she doesn't like. Okay. And now, why is she doing that? I'll let you read the book and find out yourself if you'd like. But that's kind of the whole plot point, is using this disease to get people on this island and essentially kill them over time. So I guess that's kind of a plot point that I don't know. I don't know. I mean, do you want spoilers? Okay, I'm just going to say it anyway. So essentially, before each person is sent to the island with presumed symptoms of the scourge, they are all given medicine to take. This medicine, if taken over time, is this medicine actually has poison in it, and if taken over time, will build up in their body and actually give them real sickness, and they'll die because it's poison. So that's how she's getting rid of people on the island. Okay. Well, oh, actually, hold up. I just remembered something. Ding ding. There was actually a twist that I didn't see coming, but as soon as it became obvious that that's where it was like as soon as like it like that so people do disappear from the island, okay? Presumably they die. That's the whole point. But they actually that's not what happens, and I remember being like, "Oh, because like okay, yeah, there was one twist that I didn't see coming because it wasn't alluded to at all until like the point where it's like we're gonna reveal this pretty soon, and then I was like, oh, okay, I know what's happening now. But that was actually a pretty good one. I won't spoil that, but we'll just say there's disappearances happening and for different reasons than just the scourge. Okay, I did forget about that. Yeah, that was pretty good. So anyway, but overall, it did feel very meh to me in that it was just I don't know, the characters, I think because of the length of the story, I mean, it was about 330, maybe a little more than that, pages, which is decent for a middle grade novel, and that's usually the length of her books. Um, and I don't know, it just, I guess Annie Mills didn't catch me like say, Sage did, or, what are the characters' names? Kestra and Simon in the Trader's Game. I don't know, something about her didn't grab me, and same with Weevil. They're fun, but like it didn't grab me in the same way, and maybe because the story I could, you know, gauge it so easily, I was just not interested. Anyway, either way, it was a 3-star for me. I think if you like Jennifer Nielsen, you're not gonna like dislike the book because I still enjoyed it, but I think it just wasn't as fun as I was hoping it was gonna be. Um, and there's that. So I think I can just leave that there. I don't really have anything else to say about it. Like there was, like I said, there was like one plot point that I didn't catch until it like became obvious that's where it was going. But most of the other ones were really obvious. And some of her escapes were like I know Jaren or Sage, Jaren, whatever. I know he gets out of things in ways that seem like it should be impossible, but like for the most part, it's like logical. Now, there's one escape that Annie does that I'm just like, girl, there's no freaking way that I can't even picture in my mind how you just escaped. I have no idea. Like I can't figure it out. Anyway, it just seemed like some of it was kind of wild. I know it's a fantasy story and it doesn't matter, but that is just my thing. Okay. It was fine. I maybe you would enjoy it more than me. So there's that. The other book that I read and finished recently was called The Tomb. This one was baffling to me. I've got to say, it's called. The reason I picked it up is because it says The Tomb, a novel. Okay, and I was like, oh, it's a standalone book. I love a good standalone. I'm gonna snatch that up real quick, and it was like 267 something pages. I don't know, maybe a little bit more than that, but it was not a long book. Okay, and the premise was fascinating. So it follows this girl, Kiva, who lives in Alexandria, okay, ancient times. All right. And she's grown up in that, and then suddenly she is whisked out of Alexandria in the weirdest way possible, finds herself awake on a spaceship, and her best friend Seth is there from childhood. And they both grew up in Alexandria, but he disappeared after a while, and she remained, and she figured the reason he disappeared was because he was a prince of Alexandria. His mother died suddenly, and after his mother's death, he pretty much disappeared into the castle and or palace or whatever they call it. And so she just figured he didn't want anything to do with them anymore. But turns out, what the heck, they're actually in space. So essentially, the Alexandria thing is all just a virtual reality that everyone got put into because, or most people got put into, but all the children on this particular airship got put into, or spaceship, because they wanted them to not feel like they were stuck in space, I guess, is kind of the idea. Because essentially, Earth is in perpetual ice age because a meteor hit the planet, and some people escaped. Now, not everybody escaped. In fact, there was only 4 spaceships that were prepared for this potential, and there was a manifest of who was allowed on it and who wasn't, and mostly it was like extremely intelligent people, extremely rich people, and useful people. Okay, now Kiva's mom uh, was not one of those people on the manifest, but she got on because she started dating some guy who was on the manifest, so she got on, and they eventually got married. Seth's family, on the other hand, is military, and they were already on the manifest, so they belong there, if you will. But Kiva is kind of considered to not be that way. Anyway, so she wakes up and finds out she's not where she thought she was, and she's utterly baffled by it. And Seth greets her. Now, Seth is not the most pleasant dude. In fact, he's downright grouchy most of the time, and he has to kind of explain to her real life. And she has a hard time with it, and he's a real grouch explaining it. And I was like, I'm gonna slap you upside the head, boy, okay? Now, I don't think their ages are ever stated, but I'm pretty sure they're 15 to 16, maybe 16 to 17. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but they're trying to go through this. Essentially, they're in this shuttle called the Tomb that's left the big spaceship, the Krakatoa, okay? And they're going to try to reunite with one of the other spaceships. All of them are heading towards a main destination of home base, I think is what it's called, which is a giant space station where they will live for the foreseeables. But there's 3 other spaceships that are making their way there, and they're trying to reunite with one because their ship is in a bad way. They need a special part, and potentially one of the other ships could have that special part. Now, I am going to spoil the Tomb, and this book is written by S.A. Bodine, if you want to look it up, but I am 100% going to spoil this because it's too crazy for me not to spoil it, okay? So, essentially, they're going on their merry way, and during this they're kind of like bonding again because it's been a long time. He explains a lot of things that have gone on out in the real world because that's where he's been. She laments that why didn't he ever wake her up like she doesn't understand. He explains that he wasn't allowed back in the virtual reality because he might accidentally drop that, like, this isn't real, and that's not supposed, they don't want, the adults didn't want that to happen. And anyway, they have like a lot of emotional moments. Eventually they kind of bond together again, and they kind of form a relationship. However, Seth is really petty. Like, he'll be really like nice at one point and then really icy the next. So I was like, okay. But the thing about Kiva and Seth is that their behaviors made sense to me in terms of what they've been through. Like Kiva being very immature and very lacking understanding because of her sheltered environment, and then Seth being very cold and withdrawn, and then also wanting to be friends with Kiva because he's had to be like, first of all, surrounded by adults who are kind of just telling him what to do because all of the other kids were in sleep, and he's also had to learn the reality that everything he grew up knowing was fake, and the world doesn't exist the way that he knew it and all that stuff. So their feelings and stuff made sense to me, and I was like, there's going to be some great character growth in this. I feel it, you know what I mean? And then they end up getting caught in a tractor beam, and they end up on one of the other 4 ships. However, there is nobody there. It's very mysterious. They go to this place on the ship where they have actually managed to build an orchard, and it looks really cool. It looks very earthy, and they're just kind of having fun running around playing because they think this is cool. And then there's a lake in there too somehow. I don't know how they did this on a spaceship, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. Sci-fi business. And they go swimming in the lake, but Kiva's foot gets stuck on something, and next thing you know, they're dragging up a dead body, and they freak out and they decide we got to get out of here. So they grab their stuff and they start running, and then this strange man appears, and he oh, actually, before that, they go into the room where everybody is in hypersleep essentially, and they start checking to see if people are okay. Turns out everybody that they check on is dead in hypersleep, okay? They're hyper sleeping, all right. It's sleeping forever. And then this man appears, and his name was Kutoba or something like that. I can't remember. Kubota. I don't remember anyway. And he's like, hey, it's been a long time. Why don't you guys come and hang out with me? Oh my gosh. Like, yeah. And they're like, are all these people dead? And he's like, well, only because it was their fault. It's their fault that they're dead. So it has nothing to do with me. And they were like, okay. And I don't know why the red flags weren't going off. But anyway, the kids decide to go with him to have tea and cookies or something. And so they eat the tea and cookies, and he's telling this story about how he and his family were on the manifest and prepared to go and, you know, whatever, but then everything happened too fast, and his family got left behind even though he got taken. He tried to actually leave the ship so he could stay on Earth and die with them, but they wouldn't let him leave because he was too important to the program because he's like an engineer or something. And so he was upset, and then over time he became angry. So there's this like faction of people. There's people they're called the manifestors, and then I don't know, I can't remember what the other people are called, but manifestors are the people that think only the true people should be on. True people being people that were on the manifest, right? So he's a manifester. He thinks that anybody who wasn't on the manifest who snuck onto the ship deserves to die because they took a place of somebody that was supposed to be there, right? So basically what happened is everybody went to hypersleep except for two people that were on shifts. So Kotoba and some other guy were on a shift together, and this guy ends up sharing that he wasn't on a manifest and that him and his family got in here and they were just kind of lucky. And he finds out that, and he becomes infuriated, and he ends up killing the guy. He's the guy that was in the lake, and also killing everybody that wasn't on the manifest. He actually looks up the manifest. He kills everybody in hypersleep that wasn't on the manifest, including the dude's family, because he's so embittered that his own family didn't make it. Okay, which is just, I mean, what? It was like it's a little bit scary. I mean, like there wasn't like it wasn't like super scary, but it was just very like this is turned into a thriller all of a sudden. Okay, space thriller. And they're alone there with this psycho guy. So then Seth suddenly passes out and she's confused and he keeps offering her more cookies and she realizes that the cookies are drugged. So she pretends that she also gets drugged and passed out. He takes them. Now he's not going to kill them because he thinks they're both on the manifest and they're both true. So he's actually just planning on going to put them in hypersleep for forever. I don't really know what his destination plan was. Also, he has a cat which he claims was snuck in by somebody who wasn't on the manifest, but he keeps the cat. The cat's name's Cleo. Good for Cleo. Way to go, girlfriend. But so that's just a side note. It doesn't really matter. But so Kiva has to get up and find a way to save Seth, but also they need that part, the HCU part or something. It's some sort of hyperspace thing. And he offered them the part, but she realizes she is not going to be able to turn off the tractor beam that got their shuttle stuck to his spaceship and also save Seth and get the HCU part. So she decides turn off the tractor beam, save Seth, get out. That's what she's gonna do. So that's what she does. And what a boss babe. And she also steals the cat. Good for her. Okay. And so Seth is like very, like, oh my gosh. And they're all in love, right? When he realizes how much she risked for him. Okay. It was beautiful. And I was like, this is great, but we're coming to the end. Like the chapters were getting low. And I'm just like, what is gonna happen? How is this gonna end? Like, we haven't, first of all, one thing is Kiva has been looking for her father. He was the first one sent out on a mission to get a part and he never came back. And I'm like, are we gonna find out what happened to her father? And the next thing was them finding the part, period. I'm like, what is gonna happen in like 3 chapters that is gonna resolve this? Okay. Nothing. But anyway, so then another shuttle comes over and it's clearly from one of their ships and they decide to let the person board them. They see that it is an injured young girl. So she looks like she has broken ribs, something like that. Kiva has some experience with medicine because she learned some while being in Alexandria. So she tries to treat her, but she's very suspicious and she thinks something's wrong with this girl more than that. And so she ends up telling Seth after they leave her, he's like, something is wrong here. And he's kind of like, no, it's not. Like, she's harmless, whatever. But then girl comes onto the bridge or whatever, and she's like, haha, you actually should have knocked me out with your, because she'd given her medicine. She's like, should have given me the fast acting medicine because I just deactivated all your security, and then they're being tractor beamed into another spaceship. And this time it's not a spaceship that is known. It is not one of their group, one of the four. And so I'm like, what? This is happening again. Here we go again. But it was like space pirates, right? So I was like, oh, this could be good, right? Maybe, I don't know what's going to happen in another chapter, but like, whatever. The action is ramping up again. Let's see what happens. So these guys board and they're like, oh, Sterling's down. She's like, well, she just got knocked out because of medicine. And Seth keeps like, being grouchy at her, like, don't talk to them, whatever. He's like, I'm going to protect you. Don't worry. I won't let anything happen to you. And the guys just take them, and they try to put up a little bit of a fight, but they're too big, so they end up dragging them onto the bridge. And they are very excited about the cat. They're like, oh, the witch is gonna love this. Like, witch, what? And then so this woman, who I guess is running this giant ship, her name's Glinda, which I'm like, Wicked reference? It's like, is that really her name, or are you making it up? I don't know. We'll never know. But she loves the cat, whatever. But she also says, oh, sure, we can give you the part you're looking for. You can either have the part or you can have your girlfriend. And I don't think initially he realized the either or. Seth was just like, oh, great, we'll take the part and we're going to leave. And she's like, no. This is not a charity. You can either have the part or you can have your girlfriend. One of them is staying. And Seth, what the freak, chooses the part. Okay? I was like, wait, what is happening? Like, I know Seth has been like a little bit of a nuisance to society, okay, or at least my society, but like, he didn't seem like he was cruel. You know what I'm saying? He just seemed like a youth that was a bit troubled, you know what I'm saying, and was struggling. But he's like, no, we really need this part. Like, the whole ship is gonna not survive or whatever. And she's like, you promised you wouldn't leave me, and I left the last part for you. And like, I also understand that they're thinking about the majority. I get it, and it's important to get this part. But I'm gonna be honest with you, like, why don't you leave and find one of the ships you were looking for and get the part from them? Like, and hopefully there won't be psychopaths like the last one you ran onto. Like, I mean, I don't know. To me, it was just like such a betrayal that he was just like, oh yeah, I'll leave her. That's fine. I'm like, it's not like she's on one of the ships. First of all, she doesn't know anything about space. She just woke up. And second of all, it's not one of the ships that are safe. You're leaving her in the hands of space pirates, and you're fine with that. Anyway, needless to say, it ends with her deciding, Kiva deciding that she is going to let Seth leave with the part. So she stages this whole thing, and and he manages to zip off with the part, okay? And Kiva is left with Glinda on her space pirate witch ship, I don't know. And Cleo, thankfully the cat is there, so good news. And then it ends. It ends with Kiva crying and Seth being gone. And then the book ends. And I looked up on Goodreads to see if there was, because this woman has written series, and I'm looking, and it is not in a series. It is a standalone. And I'm like, I've never read a book like this before. I've read standalones, but they usually conclude. And even ones like I read The Unbetrothed, right? And The Unbetrothed had an open ending. But the thing is, the only thing open about the ending was whether or not her man's like sorted, like how soon he came back for her. There was no question that he was going to come back for her, and the conflict had been totally resolved. Like, the war had been settled. He would just had to go back home to settle things there and also fix up the alliance between their countries, and then he was going to come back for her. Like, there was no question of that. So I'm like, okay, well, this is fine. It's an open ending, but at least we know he's probably going to come back, or maybe he won't. I don't know. What, you can think whatever you want. But with this one, it just felt like I was left on a cliffhanger. And I'm like, excuse me? What does this mean? And then I started thinking, I'm like, did I miss something in this story? Was this supposed to tell me something, like with this punchy ending? Or like, I mean, I have no idea. And the thing about it is like nothing was resolved. I mean, presumably he gets the part back to the Krakatoa, but like, okay, and then what? You know what I mean? Like, do they get to home base? Does she find her father? Like, that was part of me was thinking maybe her father was on this ship and then it would be some sort of reuniting thing, but that's not, nope, there's no allusion to that. And like zero, nothing was resolved, and Kiva is abandoned, and Seth is gone. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a lot of faith in Seth getting back to the Krakatoa in One Piece because he was the one that started eating those drugged up cookies with no concern. You know what I'm saying? So I had never been more baffled. Now I don't regret reading it because it was actually really well written and I really enjoyed the writing because it was very fast and it was punchy and the action was good. And I really loved the character development that did happen. It definitely didn't finish, but like I liked what I read, but I have never been more unsatisfied with an ending than that. I'm like, wait, where's the next book? Like, there should be a follow up. Does Kiva become a space pirate? Is that what I'm supposed to learn from this? Does she find her father? Like, I don't know. And I've never experienced a book like that. I usually read series, or if I read a standalone, they're pretty thick and there's a obvious ending. I've never read a book where I've been more confused and more feeling like I read a book in a series, but the rest of the series doesn't exist, and I have to just make it up in my head. So yeah, I don't know if there are a lot of books like this. I've never read one quite like this. Like again, I've read open endings, but not one so very feeling unfinished. Um, yeah. So that was, I think I wanted to give it a 2 star for the ending, but I did end up giving it a 3 because I liked the writing and I liked the premise and I liked the characters because I did like Kiva and Seth. I just feel like I didn't get to really know them as well as I would have liked. And I really hated the way Seth ended. Um, what a betrayal, like a stabbing in the back, like absolutely unhinged levels of stabbing in the back. So, yeah, I don't know if anybody has ever read the tomb. Maybe I'm missing something. Like, is this supposed to be allegorical for something? I have no idea. But yeah, so those are my 2 3-star reads recently that I wouldn't recommend either one. Like if you like I said, if you like stories that are maybe really obvious, I would go with The Scourge. If you like stories that are leave you on a cliffhanger, read The Tomb, I guess. Um, but I personally wouldn't recommend either of them. I don't think they're very good. I think that The Tomb had so much potential. I love that middle part um with that crazy guy. That was fantastic. I was like on the edge of my seat, like, what's gonna happen? What is this guy gonna do? And then that was it, you know. I don't know, man. I almost would have preferred for for it all to have happened on that spaceship and for everything to go down there and for it to even end there. Even if it ended on a cliffhanger, at least it wouldn't be as weird as leaving her with space pirates. Like if they both died in the Pinatubo, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but they're all named after volcanoes. If that's where the both of them had died or gotten stuck or something, at least I would have been like, okay, well, that's it's kind of like it's cool. It's a good space thriller kind of situation for like young adults. But yeah, the ending with the space pirates completely threw me because this is a whole new plot point that goes nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So, because at least on one of their crafts, right, it would have been like, oh my gosh, bet that all the crafts, all the people on the spaceships have gone nuts. Like this is what we have learned, okay? Um, so I would have been like, at least it would have been made sense. I don't know, man. The ending was just so baffling for me. So baffling. So I guess I don't have anything else to add but that. It was wild. So right now I'm reading, well, I'm still reading Almost Christian, which is my Christian nonfiction. Very good book. It talks a lot about, um, what teenagers believe, and how a lot of what they believe is not Christianity. It's almost Christian, but it's really focused more on the self instead of focusing on God. But that there is a lot of young people who also are very devout, and that's something that really is shown to them by their parents, because teenagers are going to follow what their parents are displaying for them. So parents, if you are not showing a love of God and a love of church, then your children aren't going to either. So this has been really interesting, really eye-opening. And then I'm also going to start Vivid by Ashley Bustamante, which is Color Theory Book 1. I'm really looking forward to this because it says it's a dystopia. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I love dystopian books. Okay. So I'm going to start this pretty soon. I'm also actively working on my writing. I am currently planning on publishing the first book in the Dawn of Invaris series, because the Chronicles of Invaris are now finished. Those were like the present day books. And now we're going back in time to the Dawn of Invaris, the dawn of the world. And we're going to be talking about the book that's going to be published is called The Age of the Astani. The Astani being one of the first people groups that were created on Invaris, and how their world went from a beautiful, safe place to a corrupted place, full of violence, really. So that is going to be discussed there. And then I'm currently working on, though I have no idea when it's going to be published, but working on The Age of the Narzenzi, which will come directly after The Age of the Astani. Probably, like, I think there's like 16 years in between, because it's like the children of such and such. So I'm really excited about that. I actually really am passionate about both of these books, because I think they tell really interesting moral tales. Not to toot my own horn by any means, but I got to delve into these things. Like in The Age of the Astani, it talks a lot about family strife, abandonment, uh, just things of that nature, like hiding, secrets, and how doing something wrong doesn't just affect you, it can affect generations, if you don't confess it and turn away from that evil, right? And change your life. That's a big part of the story, is the consequences of doing evil. Even if you might not think you are. Okay. So, and I'm speaking to the characters themselves. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys. I really hope you enjoy it. I don't think it's coming out until like March or something next year. I still have some editing things to do with it. It might even get pushed back a little further, but we'll see. But editing things and stuff like that, reads and so forth to do with it. So we're going to wait for that to happen first. But I'm estimating it's going to be in the springtime, and I'm really excited to share it. The Age of the Narzenzi, though, has been like a passion project for me. I mean, all of it is, but I love the characters in The Age of the Narzenzi, and I think it's probably my favorite cast, which is saying a lot, especially since they're only in one book. But I think the book packs a punch. There is um, I can't really get into it, because that would be spoiling The Age of the Astani, so I'm not going to do it. But there's some really great characters in there, a big variety as well. There's very sweet and tender-hearted characters, very tough and rugged characters, and then all in between. I think that's why I love it. The variety is really fun. Also, it's really fun for me to see the children of the characters from The Age of the Astani come to life, and seeing how the characters that were the main characters in The Age of the Astani grow either better or colder, so there's a lot of fun mix in there. And so I think that you all will enjoy it if you like my work at all. And I appreciate if you do. But feel free to check out, I'll put it in the description, my Goodreads, and you can find all of my books there as well if you are interested. It is, for the most part, I would say my work is like, it's it's definitely Christian fiction, but not more in a Tolkien way, if you will, where there's a lot of like it follows a lot of Christian morals and Christian understanding, but not necessarily allegorical in any way. Though there definitely is allusions to things, and they have they live in a monotheistic world, which is important to me. So that stays the same. But other than that, I would say it's more about the heart of the characters themselves and their desire to do right, or in the case of the villains, their desire to do wrong, and how that functions in the world itself. So, and of course, it is a battle of good versus evil. So, we love to see it. So anyway, that's enough yapping, but I hope you guys will look forward to that. Thanks for listening to my reviews. I hope, what are some books that have baffled you when you've read them? Have you read a cliffhanger novel before that left you like, what the heck? Where's the next chapter? Or maybe a book that you could gauge like everything that happened and you were just kind of bored. Share it below. I'd love to hear it. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Remember, I love you, but Jesus loves you way more. And yeah, hope you have a good one. Bye.